CIU Nation, CIU Podcast. Good evening, good morning, whatever you are. Thank you for joining us. I'm here, it's Dr. Williams, and I'm here with Dr. Johnson. We have another episode of our podcast. Again, what is the events, what's happening, and what are the legal situations, scenarios that have been happening? One thing we noticed though is not to go, talk about the conflict itself. We see what happened in Israel and what's going on in Gaza, Rafale, other places. We know that terrorist attack is never a good thing. War generally is never a good thing. And we see, students protesting and they have different labels, but freedom of expression, speech has been a challenge now legal to see. Is it really a freedom of speech or is it not? And that's what's happening. But, above all, for us, what we've been watching is what happening to International Court of Justice, right? The ICJ, we see South Africa took Israel to the court and accusing them of genocide, war crime, and other things. So it's interesting for law professors, law students to see what's happening out there with the 50-member judges appointed by different countries that serve on the ICJ, an arm of the UN, to listen to the case and see, the ICJ doesn't have military, doesn't have enforcement mechanism directly. They issue guidelines and they hope that countries will follow them. But what have you noticed about the court? What's going on? It's kind of like, kind of weird, right? Kind of interesting. I think it's kind of sad in a way though when we talk about genocide, other things, and I know when you think about the Jewish situation that happened, whether it's Armenia, or in Germany, it's making you bring tears to your eyes. It's very horrible things that happen with the Holocaust and other thing. I know when I was in my conflict and resolution class, I have my Jewish professor, when we discussed some of these things that happened, I don't know how sad it was. I kind of remember giving her a hug because, I don't know, I just felt just too bad just to hear the story. And, also listening to different wars that are happening around the world, what is Africa, Liberia that's happening there, Sudan, Somalia, many places that, Ethiopia and Eritrea, and many places that people have been impacted when you, I think war is one of the worst things because people there, the ordinary people themselves, I'm not talking about the fighters, the ordinary people are helpless. They really don't know what to do when they're fighting. They're just going from one place to another place. And it does it destroys their life. So when terrorism leads to this, or whether it's rebel activities or rebellion, other form, whatsoever way people call it, it's just a terrible situation. So human rights are violated, human rights not followed, and sometimes one of the only mechanisms is to go to the court. Usually, though, ICJ is international issues. But Israel and Gaza is kind of a little different. It's a unique situation. Anyway, let me hear your take. Like I said, I don't want to get into the conflict itself, but just looking at things and just seeing what's going on, just make you sad.
Yes, and thank you, Dr. Williams, for that introduction as well. And I think a lot of people gets confused or about the process or what the history of what Gaza and Israel, and it started in 1948, where the land was taken away from the Palestinians, and 200,000 had to flee to the Gaza Strip. And it's more about the land and control and power. And in this situation, it's not coming out to be a good resolution. I know people wants to around the world wants to protest about human rights and civil liberties and to improve and help support it. But it also starts with the political leaders, because the political leaders of both countries has to work and agree to come together and find a resolution to end this type of war, because what it's doing is not only hurting both countries, it's hurting the families, the children, um, and it's hurting across the world. We're feeling what they're feeling, and it's important to understand. that we're human. We have feelings, and seeing those type of pictures and photos and in the media and social media about what's going on in Gaza and Israel, comes to heart. And I think it's very important to understand that it first start with the political leaders to come to a resolution to say, hey, we have to end this. We're losing our generation. We're losing our future generation. Where these families are losing their children. These are our future generations to come up to be able to leave a legacy for their families.
Right.
And it's important when it comes to humanity, understanding humanity, and also understanding what the criminal court system and what the court system is saying. But the courts can only go but so far when it comes to interpreting the law and saying, hey, you have to follow this. But that's still not governing what the two countries want to do. We're going to do what we want to do,
Right.
but we don't care what the courts say. But it's important to understand that the two leaders that's controlling those countries has to come together to come to a reasonable agreement to say, hey, this is what's going to set forth on the table. Let me bring this to the table. Let's work together to end this. Because when you're in war, you're destroying humanity. And when you're destroying humanity, it's not a feeling that it hurts us. It gives us an impression that the life that we have been giving by your higher power is now being taken away too soon.
Right.
So we have to, and it's important.
Mhm.
And it's important.
Yeah, we hope
we don't destroy those destroy life as we know it.
Right. We hope the conflict will be over. We're seeing the court system already deciding. But again, for me, I'm in no favor of any kind of war, any kind of terroristic attack, any kind of harm, any kind of disturbance of others, whether it's protests that impact the life of others. I'm just not in favor of anything like that. I just want people to live together peacefully and to figure out, what's going on. That's what we learn. That's what we learn. We've been taught in, with our different religious belief, fundamentally live together with peace, treat others, treat your neighbor as yourself. That's what we're being taught. And so when war is happening, it makes everybody sad to say that, look, what the Rodney King say, can we just live together? But anyway, look, we all hope the peace. We've been observing the court. We hope, whatever the court, some, this passion, this very high passion on both sides. But I think the goal of many people is that eventually it's going to stop and people will find some sort of solution. But we'll see you, listener. We thank you so much. We try not to be too carried away and favoring one side and the other side. We just want violence to stop. We don't want anybody, while you're sleeping at night and then some explosion happen and all of your people are kidnapping.
Well, can we all just get along?
Yeah, just get along. Yeah,
can we all just get along?
It's a difficult situation, but let us just try to get along. Thank you so much, everybody, for listening, and we'll see you on our next podcast. Thank you, Dr. Johnson.
Thank you, Dr. Wood.